Hey, we're live. Hey, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you're from. So, for us, it's morning in Australia. In America, it's good evening, and other people in the middle. So, I'm Scotty Schindler, founder of System 1357. We're joined again today with Terry Bean, and we're doing our final series in the 5 systems of successful people. So, and today we're joined with Jake Brown. And I've looked at Jake's profile. Such a good guest to have on to talk about sugar and cream today, the system that keeps people motivated and inspired. So, without any further ado, welcome along, Terry and Jake. So, Terry, I'll let you do the introduction because you know Jake personally.
I do, Scotty. And you know how they save the best for last? Well, this time we saved the sweetest for last, right? we had to do it up. We had to do it up the right way. And so we got Jake Brown, who's going to bring all that sugar. And here's the best thing about Jake. He's creamy as all get out, too. But he's one of those dudes that you talk about in the book that rose to the top, played the game at the highest level, but stayed sugary the whole darn time. So we'll talk about what all that means as we go through this episode. But without further ado, allow me to introduce Mr. Jake Brown, which sometimes I want to say Jacob, sometimes I want to say Jake. He got a little identity crisis, Scotty. Hopefully we can figure that out when we're on the show today. We'll get it squared away, but it depends on what platform you're following him on as to what name he actually uses. But, you know, made it to the pros in the NFL, played a little big time football. Played here in Michigan at Central Michigan University. Before that, standout player, but heck of a marketer, heck of a designer, and a fantastic motivational speaker. I got the opportunity to sit in the front row and watch him deliver goodness just 2 short weeks ago. So allow me to introduce my friend, Jake, or you may call him Jacob, depending on the day, Brown. How you doing, Jake? Jacob?
I'm doing great, Terry. You know, I kind of wish I recorded that because if I listen to that introduction every morning, there's no way I could have a bad day.
You couldn't, man. No, I'm here, right? Like, if you know, Chuck D had Flava Flav, and everybody else that knows me can have Terry Bean. It's not as cool of a name, right? There's no spice, but there's some vegetables, and those are good for you.
Everybody needs a Terry Bean. I'll tell you that much. Everybody needs a Terry. Well, thank you guys for inviting me and allowing me to be a part of the talk tonight.
You know what? We're excited to have you. So thank you for making the time, Jake. I appreciate you doing so. So, you know, one of the things that Scotty talks about in his book and in his business and in his life, he references the idea that you've got creamy people, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got sugary people. And the idea is the cream always, think about it in a cup of coffee, the cream rises to the top. We know what the cream is going to do. It's going to sit up there. Maybe it's the 1%, maybe it's the 5%, whatever. It's at the tippity tip top. And most people instantly and automatically go for the cream. That's what we're drawn to. Yep. But the reality is the sugar gets in that coffee. And you need to stir it up a little bit. You need to put a little motivation. You need to put a little extra effort into it. But the sugar, man, like I don't know a lot of people that drink coffee without sugar. I know some people that'll do it without cream, right? But the sugar is what actually makes it sweet, what makes you want to keep coming back. So it's really similar with people too. So I want to talk about a little bit about how you stay sugary, how you stay sweet, how you keep stirring those other people up and making a difference in their lives. So we're going to cover all that today.
Awesome.
So we talked about it already, right? We played in the MAC, right? I'm a MAC boy myself, Eastern Michigan, so a couple of 100 miles away from where you went. Where did that start, man? Where did the diligence, where did the effort, where did the desire to become great and the willingness to continue to work at being great, where did that come from?
You know, I got to give credit to where credit is due. I grew up with 2 fantastic parents, Michael and Portia Brown. My mom was one of those that would always inspire and encourage us to do and be whatever we wanted to do and be, and even more. She's the one that kind of taught me at a very young age how to visualize myself being successful, whether it's 10 and under, I'm hitting the baseball and hitting a home run, or whether it's high school where I'm throwing the touchdown pass, or whether it's college where, you know, I'm getting A's or B's in class. She always taught us to visualize ourselves being successful before it happened. Right.
Yeah.
And my dad, you know, I posted about it a little while ago. My dad always made us listen to Les Brown and, you know, Jim Rohn, you know, growing up. And I never understood why I was listening to that positive talk until I got a little older in my life. And I realized how important that is to do that. So the encouragement, the motivation, I've got to say it came from my parents. I did have an Uncle Monty that played in 2 Super Bowls. He went to the Ferris State. He was an All-American. He went to the NFL for quite a few years and went on to wrestle for WWE. So I had to follow in some of his footsteps as well. And then I had a younger brother, 2 years younger than me, that was pushing me to be the best I could. So I've got to give credit to everyone around me. You know, they say it takes a village to raise, you know, a child, and I would say it takes a village to raise anyone that's successful.
I love what you said about feeding yourself that positive message, right? One of my favorite quotes that sticks out is, your mind is a garden, the thoughts are the seeds. You can either be planting flowers or weeds, right? And that all depends on what kind of thoughts you're feeding into your mind. It starts right here between our ears. And Scotty would tell you that the first system of the 1, 3, 5, and 7, the first system is people. And before we even start talking about all the people, we're talking about you, the person, right? Yeah. So, and I shrink it down as it's this 7 inches right here. I got a big head. Maybe some of you are like 6 inches. I'm like 7 3/4, right? So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So Les Brown, you know, I don't think he's a native Detroiter, but he spent some time here in the Detroit area. Jake and I are right here.
Yep. He spent some time here, and you know, like I said, I kind of grew up listening to him, and the older I got, the more I listened to the actual substance and the words that he was speaking. I mean, I cut my grass this morning, and I was listening to one of his talks as well. Just a very motivational. He came from a background where he was abandoned. You know, him and his twin brother in Florida, and he was adopted by his mother, and she took care of him, and he gives all props to her as well for not giving up on him, because a lot of kids, you know, at that age and within the system don't really have a chance. So it's good that he didn't allow his surroundings to become his circumstance.
He's an amazing person to watch on stage, man. If you don't want to bite a wall after you watch him speak, man, you didn't pay attention to the message. So and you've got some of that coming in here. I noticed the other day on Facebook, you said that you've got a handful of speaking gigs already booked for 2023. And I know you've got some cool locations. But one of the things that I've seen you say, forget about fail forward. I've seen you say that all the time. We'll get into fail forward. But you got to speak it until you see it.
Yes.
Right? So talk to us about that. What does that actually mean?
Yeah. So like I said, my mom said, before you can do anything or be successful in anything, you have to see yourself doing it in a successful manner, right? And once the opportunity comes, you've already played it over and over in your mind, and it should come easier to you than if you were never prepared from a mental standpoint, right? Chris Gardner, who The Pursuit of Happiness was originally written about, he said a quote, and if you have not seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness, I definitely please advise you to watch it if you can. But Chris Gardner is a real man. He was homeless. He took care of his son. His wife left him, and he climbed his way up the corporate ladder, and now he's a millionaire. He does motivational speaking. But one thing that he says is to speak what you seek until you see what you've said. And I don't think a lot of people really realize how powerful their words are, right? Terry, you started talking about the people, and the first person you got to take care of is who? Yourself, right? And if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not speaking to yourself correctly, if you're down talking yourself, guess what else is going to happen? You're literally going to start self-imposing exactly what you're saying to yourself. And you'll start self-sabotaging. You'll start to demean yourself. And then everyone else around you won't believe in you the way that they should, you know? So speak what you seek until you see what you said. That's anything that you want. anything that you want to achieve or obtain, start to speak it and start to believe in it and be positive about it. And I guarantee you the universe will respond.
I love that. We talk about words matter, and there's a reason that it's called spelling, right?
Yeah.
You think about the magic of it, you're casting spells with the words we say, right?
Wow.
So we got to really be mindful, not only of what we put out, but equally important, what we hold in. So, I used to joke all the time. I was, I'm going to say I was a smart ass. And I say was like it's past tense. I was really good at it. But I was always into the self-deprecating humor too, right? So I would maybe make a joke about you, but it wouldn't happen until after I'd already made a joke about me.
About you.
And so I dropped the smartass thing as I got a few more of these whiter whiskers. But I still hold on to some of that self-deprecating humor. And in all sincerity, as a grown-ass man, there's nothing that funny about it. And so it's a weird habit. And I like what you said, right? You think about the universe pulling stuff towards you, right? It's coming down at you, but all of a sudden you say something off color or off right that isn't the thing you need to say or the thought you need to think. And that momentum stops, right? So we self-sabotage by the words we speak. Be impeccable with your word. Don Miguel Ruiz, agreement number 1. That's awesome, man. So sugar and cream, right? Sugar is the sweetness. It's bringing the goods. Cream rises to the top. Now, I know your background well enough that you've worked with sugary people and sugary companies. You've worked with creamy people and creamy companies. And you probably work with people that are both creamy and sugary. Do you have a preference on who to work with and who to take on?
I mean, the first thing that you see if you look at my LinkedIn profile is human being. I want to get down to the deep core of any human being, which is the substance of anything that's good, right? So as I was thinking about sugar and cream, the cream rises to the top, but it's the substance that's in between, underneath, that's holding it up, right? So I tell my kids all the time, there are those cool kids in high school. I've got a 15-year-old. He's going to the 11th or 10th grade this year. And I've got a 7th grader that's going to the 8th grade this year. And they're in that mix where they're trying to figure out themselves, right? And they're trying to figure out what to wear, how to wear their hair, how to talk, how to walk, how to impress the girls. And I told them, I said, listen, lean into exactly who you are, because those cool kids right now will not be cool when they're older. Right? They're going to be doing the same things that they're doing now in high school when they're 30, 40, 50 years old, and they're going to be looking at you and inspiring to be what you are because you stayed true and you stayed, the sugar. And if you stay and maintain the sugary life and the goodness, you will eventually rise to the top, just like the cream. But you won't have to do it yourself. Other people will help you rise.
Ooh, I like that, right? Because you find other sugary people and you kind of feed off of each other, right?
Yes.
There's power in that. I like what Erica Warfield wrote here. Your confession becomes your possession.
I love it.
Right? That is eloquently stated, Erica. Thank you for sharing that. And you talk about that high school, and she just wrote they max out in high school. And there was a movie that came out a few years ago called Napoleon Dynamite. And by a few, I mean 20. And that's a few to me. I mentioned the white hair. But Uncle Rico is the prime example of, Bruce Springsteen playing Glory Days, man. If high school's the best years of your life, no offense, you did something wrong.
You did something wrong.
You're right.
You're absolutely right.
You got opportunities beyond that. So I love it, man. So talk to us a little bit about the motivational side. What is it, there's all these different types of keynote speakers and trainers and facilitators, and you could be informative, but you chose and dove into motivation. What is it about that made you feel called to take that on?
As I mentioned a little earlier, my father would always, push speakers on us and make us listen to those things. But I had a little bit of an issue with my dad growing up because I was missing out on a key piece that I wanted or needed from him as a young man. I was one of the first to go to college in my family. I got a full-ride scholarship. I was one of the first to get married in my family. I was the first to provide my parents with grandkids. I was first to build a house in my family. And throughout all of these accomplishments, even going to the NFL, my dad never really told me that he was proud of me and that he loved me. And It wasn't that he did not. It was just that the culture that he came from and the lifestyle that he was raised in didn't really do that type of affection, right? But when I turned 25, he sent me a Word document that spelled out all of the things that he was proud of and how much he loved me. And I remember at that moment, I cried for about 45 minutes straight because I had needed that for all of those years, going through high school, going through college, going through my first marriage. Like, I needed that affirmation from my father that he was proud of me and that he loved me. And because I didn't get that, I felt like I wasn't good enough, right? I remember those bad self-talks. I remember those times where I did things that I wasn't proud of. I remember those times where I wasn't motivated because I didn't feel like I had anything to be motivated about. And one of the reasons why I get up every day and I do the things that I do, Terry, is I don't want anyone else to feel the way that I felt for about 20 years of my life. Right? So motivation for me is a lot deeper than just a rah-rah or, hey, let's go get them, or a pregame football speech. That's fine, but that dies off after a while, right? If you don't really have something deep down inside of you that is pulling, that is tugging, that is helping push that train every single day you wake up, then eventually you're going to die off to the side, or you're going to fall to the bottom of that cup, right? So I need to be stirred up every now and then so that I can continue to rise and to bring other people and to be able to rise with other people as well.
Absolutely. Rising tide lifts all boats. JFK said that, and I don't know who said it before him. I was just looking, man. I've got there's this dude on Spotify, Roy B. Smooth. And Roy B. Smooth is obviously some sort of DJ. And so he's taken some Jim Rohn stuff, right? Yep. Some of the best of Jim Rohn. He's taken some of the best of Les Brown. And so he puts their affirmations and their good information on top of some dope beats.
Oh, so, man, I need to listen to this.
Roy B. Smooth, baby. I'll put that on at night, or I'll put it on when I'm cutting the grass. And it just kind of reinforces. It's a good stir, man. It's a good stir for the sugar. So I love that's very, very cool. I think that motivation is key. And, Zig Ziglar famously said, people tell me that motivation doesn't last. And I respond with, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily.
Daily. Like, Oh, man, I love it. I love that.
Got to do it again, man. Got to do it again and again and again. So how, like, I had a buddy of mine that he and I were partnered in marketing, and we'd always talk about different ideas, and he'd always say, you're too literal. You're too literal. You're too literal. And I'm like, maybe, but I'm real clear in what I say and what I think and what I do, because that's like the definition of literal. But I always look at the difference between motivation and inspiration. How do you differentiate between those two?
So the one way that I motivate is getting people out of, I guess you could say, get them out of crux, getting them out of like lulls in their life. Sometimes you wake up and you just don't feel like it, right? You don't feel like it. That's one thing. When I motivate people, I try to motivate them to remember, where they came from and that there are better days coming. When I try to inspire people, I am trying to empower them to go after and do things that they never thought possible, that their parents never thought possible, that their friends never thought possible, that even them inside never thought possible. I'm trying to reach into their soul and pull out their best them. And I talked about the golden Buddha. And when I inspire people, I try to empower people to go after and be and find that golden Buddha that's deep inside of them. It's a little different than motivating.
You gotta talk to Becky for a half a second and respond to that message. I hope you can see it, and if you can't, I'll read it to you. And then you gotta explain the golden Buddha, because Primo lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. So Becky and I met maybe 3 or 4 years ago. She was actually a guest blog writer on my blog, and she wrote about paddleboarding. She's fantastic graphic designer. But in terms of the Golden Buddha, back in 1957 in Bangkok, Thailand, these monks were praying around this large clay stone Buddha. It's 9 feet tall, 8 inches, and about 5.5 tons. And as they were praying, a small piece of clay fell off the side of the Buddha, and one of the monks noticed that there was light coming from where the clay fell off. And he goes over and he starts chiseling away to see what else is under there. And they discover that there is a large golden Buddha made of solid pure gold worth about $250 million underneath the clay. Well, the story goes that back in the 1700s, these monks were praying to this Buddha, and it was a golden Buddha at the time before it was covered in clay, and they were praying to it, and they heard that the Burmese army was going to invade Bangkok, Thailand. So they started to cover that Buddha with mud and concrete so that when the army invaded the city, that they would not find any value in that Buddha. So the moral of the story is that as we go through life, when we are born, when we were kids, we are that solid gold, pure, innocent, valuable Buddha. But something happens along our path. When we go to school, we're taught how to walk, how to talk, what to go after in school, what to go after in your degree, what to go after in your life. Your parents start to tell you, hey, don't take this risk. Hey, don't go after that girl or that boy. You're going to get hurt. So we start to cover ourselves with a casing. We call these things walls, where we start to protect ourselves from the outside world. So much is so that when we get a little older, I'd say college, a little after college, we have forgotten our own value. We've forgotten our own value. And it's not until a divorce, a health scare, a loss of a job, being fired, that a little piece of that clay, that casing that we've been covering ourselves with for years, falls off. And someone looks at us and says, hey, there's something inside of you that I see. You could be doing more with your life. You should be doing more. You shouldn't be dating this guy. You shouldn't be dating this girl. There's more for you. You are valuable. And you start to realize, you know what? I am valuable. I do deserve more. I do deserve better. And our goal in life is to get back to what we once were as kids, when we aspired things. We were fearless. We wanted to be and do whatever we wanted to be and do before we were taught, hey, don't take all these risks. Don't do that. You're going to get hurt, right? And we've got to get back to, every single one of us have to get back to that golden Buddha that's inside of us. Because once we do tap back into that golden Buddha, we'll never go back.
I couldn't love that more. I've actually seen that Buddha in person, by the way. We didn't talk about that when we were at the event, but yeah, that's pretty cool. And I love how it tied into Becky's comment about being on her quest for her best life after adversity, right? Because that's normally, we get to declare when we hit rock bottom. And when we make that declaration, right, it's when we start to try and figure things out. That's when we go back to the basics. That's when we go back to the core. So I love that you were there to inspire her along her path. And that story is such a great reminder. Find your golden Buddha. I'm putting my blinker on. I'm making a left turn. I'm letting y'all know, so don't be mad at me when this isn't about golden Buddha anymore. Scotty, as I was looking at this interview and I was looking through my copy of 5 Systems of Successful People, and I know some of Jake's backstory, and we talk about sugary people, we talk about creamy people, but have we ever thought about the idea of salty people? Because we run into salty people all the time.
Wow. Yeah.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you, Scotty. What are your thoughts on salty people? Because I know Jake got some thoughts.
Oh, look, there's always people out there trying to steal your time. There's always people out there trying to, bring their adversity onto you or make you go to their level, so that makes them feel better about the things they're not achieving. And that's a standard practice, right? And it happens everywhere. And that's where Jake was talking about, when he was creating his environment, he's talking about that magnetic effect. And when you become sugary and become motivated, you attract people to you. So you create that environment for yourself because you're sugary, you're motivated, or you're inspirational, if you like, because you've got that self-determination and grit. And people like that. Yeah, people like that. People don't like the salty people. They like the sugary people, right? I don't talk about the book because it's not important if you ask me. It's all about the sugary people. It's the people out there that are doing the extra mile and that determination and training and that's what people like to be around, right? So, but everyone has adversity in their life, but rather than passing that on, go and find some nice motivated people to be around and change the course.
Yeah.
Read some books, go to a motivational course or a networking event, do something, watch these videos. How's that for a good start?
That's
But
right.
you're right. Salty people exist everywhere and they're all trying to steal your time. They're all trying to pass on their adversity to make them feel better. And you've got to try and avoid that. Definitely. That's part of business, Judah, that positive mental attitude. So good question, Terry. I like it.
I like that. I like Erica talking about they're salty and crusty, and they're called narcissists. I think you aren't wrong, Erica. You aren't wrong. So I like that idea, Scott. Jacob, how do you avoid those salty people that may show up, man?
At a lot of times, because I have people every now and then. I've got quite a following on LinkedIn, and I'll make certain posts that gain a lot of attention, and get a lot of traction, right? And every now and then you'll have that salty person show up and try to poke a hole in something that I said in my post or some line. This would have been a great post if you didn't say this, and I try my best to just avoid those people. I don't pay attention to trolls. I try not to even respond to people unless I see that they're causing a big issue. But one thing that I like to do when salty people show up is, kind of give them a little bit of a taste of what they're trying to do, and kind of lift your arm and just throw some sugar on them, like Salt Babe, and just keep going. Just keep going. You're gonna have like Scotty said, if you stop at every dog that barks at you, you'll never get to your destination. And there's no reason to stop and to address every single person that's trying to throw salt on your game, that's trying to stop you or trying to put their issues on you. Just sprinkle a little bit of sugar on them and keep going.
Ooh, I like that. Right? Maybe you can sweeten them up a little bit. Maybe they'll see that there's a better way to go about it, because they expect you to get salty back. And it's that business, that judo move. I'm gonna let you use your momentum against you, right? In that case, normally I'm gonna let it use your moves for the benefit of both of us, but I could just sidestep and let you fall on your face, and that's okay too, right? You're still down now. I like that approach, man. You gotta, if we can sweeten people up a little bit, right? If we can make them a little happier, right? Leave people better than you found them, kind of philosophy makes a ton of sense to me. I think that's great. All right, so in addition to speaking, how else are you serving people? What else are you doing these days?
Yeah, so I'm also an entrepreneur. I am a co-founder of Varlo Sports, which is a cycling and triathlon apparel company. We are one of the only brands that support and encourage and help build up any type of triathlete, any type of cyclist. We're not only looking at the elite cyclists. We're looking at anyone that is trying to get into the sport of triathlon or trying to get into the sport of cycling, and encouraging them and building a community and a foundation around people that are not pros, that haven't been doing this for their whole life. Yes, I played football, but I packed on some pounds in the last 20 years that I'm trying to get rid of. Right. So I think when people join something and they join a community, they want to feel included, they want to feel inclusive, and they want to feel a part. Right. They don't want to feel like that odd man out that's not, slim and, completely fit or, busting out of their shirts. They want to make sure that they feel comfortable. And that's what Varlo does, is we empower all athletes to conquer their goals of tomorrow. If you want to check out Varlo, it's varlosports.com. Outside of that, Terry, I'm raising my family. I have a small lawn competition with one of my neighbors across the way. He has no idea that we're having this lawn competition, but I feel like I'm winning now. And I'm just living life, man. I'm encouraging as many people as I possibly can to go after their goals. I at this stage in my life, I'm almost 40, and I feel like I've pretty much hit every goal and every bucket list item that I've ever wanted to do. And now I'm trying to help encourage other people to be able to do that so they can live a more fulfilled life.
The designs that Velro has are fantastic, right? It's sharp,
Yeah.
it's colorful, it's bright, it is sugary, is all get out. You're going to see it coming. I love that. I had a couple of college buddies over on my boat last week, and one of them was telling a story some way, somehow, triathletes and, you know, being at the finish line at some triathlon. And he said, and then I waited about 30 minutes later, people that were built like you, Terry, started showing up. No offense.
It's true.
I'm right here, buddy. I'm right.
I can hear you.
I'm right here, dude. But it's it, man, and it's a crazy thing to think about. How much ground that's taken, and how much what a goal that's become for folks. You know, like that half marathon or that marathon isn't long enough anymore. We got to go do the Ironman, and you better swim for a while, you better run for a while, and you better get on that bike for 100 miles. Woo! Do you bike, Jake?
Every now and then. I don't bike like I should, but I do have a bike. I need to get on it a bit more. But yeah, triathlon is a sport that if you want to challenge your mental capacity and your mental strength, that's a sport that will do it.
Well, and what I love about it, and forget about the physical exercise, but the mental stamina of breaking out of that comfort zone and figuring out how to go so far past what you can achieve. It's such a triumph of the strength, the endurance, and the spirit that most people never even come close to scratching the surface.
No, not at all. And one thing about Varlo is we try to make it to as many events. There's an event, New Jersey Triathlon this weekend out in New Jersey, where our headquarters is. Our headquarters is out by Philly, in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and as many people as we can that are part of Varlo, part of Team Varlo. We got about 225 people that are part of our Team Varlo, that we sponsor and that we provide, triathlon apparel for. We try to make as many people go so that we can all encourage everyone that might be racing as they're going through the race. And it's a wonder to watch our athletes and anyone associated with Varlo, even if you're just a person that purchased Varlo and we have no idea who you are. We're going to cheer you on, and we're going to even cheer on people that are not wearing our apparel, because at the end of the day, we want to show that we're a community and that we are there for all athletes to empower them.
Scotty, is that the very definition of being sugary, cheering on people that aren't even wearing your gear? Is that what sugary looks like?
That's definitely creating that environment, right? And I did triathlons, by the way, just so you know. So I was nearly 100 kilos. I'm not sure what that is in pounds. And I thought, well, what's the thing I can do to make myself the fittest person I can be? And I thought, well, gee, that's triathlon. Those triathlon people are pretty fit, right? So maybe if I can do a triathlon, I'll be fit. In fact, anyway, I'll while you guys go to the next bit, I'll try and find the book and how I kept a diary of it. And the smallest little steps I took, the 200-meter swim, the 500-meter swim. And in the end, I did triathlons, and I got all the way down to 70 kilos. Now, I don't know what that is in pounds once again, but I lost a lot of weight. I was a 30-inch pant, and I was pretty fit. I really had a goal of doing a full Ironman. I did 2 half Ironmans, but you had to qualify back then. Nowadays, there's enough Ironman you can actually just enter one somewhere. And but I never got to qualify. But I tell you, I'm not sure about you, Jake, whether you're a good one or not. But I was pretty good on the swim, because I'm a surfing, and I was pretty good on the bike. But I was a terrible runner. I run like a football player that can't run, right? A front row for a big fella. I'm trudging along. When I was doing the half Ironman, I'm trudging along and I'm running and I'm going, I'm in so much pain. And I watched someone go past me and I thought, gee, he's in a lot of pain. And he was going past me. But anyway, the point being is that, when you get there and it's, the whole sugar and cream thing, I was started off as someone that was overweight and everything else, and people accepted me and they motivated me and they encouraged me. And I felt really in an environment of people that were motivated and trying to be the best them that they could be. It was a really good environment, the triathlon environment. So well done, mate. It's an awesome, I guess, community, if you like. So
yes, absolutely.
Thanks to Erica, we know that 100 kilograms is 220 pounds, and 74 kilograms is 163 pounds. So that's a loss of basically 25% of a person, Scotty. So nice work on that.
I got down to 70 kilos, and I actually thought, I wonder if I get to 69. I never did, and I didn't have a burning desire to do it because I just would have missed dinner a couple of times and I would have done it. But I just thought, I wonder if I would, but I never did. I'm back up to 81, 82 now, whatever it is. But and I'm sort of balanced now. So what do you call it? A balance now of healthy, wealthy, and wise. So I surf and I do a bit of fitness, a bit of riding. But I tell you, those triathlons hurt.
Yeah.
You're always in pain. You've got sore legs, you've got sore arms. It's just always hurt. So after 4 or 5 years of that, I thought I've achieved my goal. I'll go back to surfing.
I love it. Nice. The good news is, Scotty being in Australia, I have no idea how tall he is. So I just assume he's like 7 foot tall. So 220 kilos or 220 pounds seems okay.
Well, I'm actually only 171 centimeters. So whatever that is in feet, maybe 5'9", 5'10".
Okay. There you go.
Wow.
Really tall. Good basketballer because
awesome.
I can duck everyone.
Can you dunk? I see a one-on-one coming up. Jake, do you play ball? You hoop?
Not as much as I used to. He might be able to get me now.
This sounds like a torn Achilles then. Never mind. No hoop off. It sounds like a quad's going to blow out. That's awesome, man. So I love it. I love the speaking. How do people find you to speak? I just checked out the website last week, and I know you've redone it a little bit in the past couple of weeks. Yeah. Looks top shelf. Nice job.
Thank you.
I know your LinkedIn following is massive. Are people finding you through your social posts? They finding you through other speaking events? How are they gravitating to you?
So I think it's a little bit of both. So I have gotten some speaking events and speaking engagements from some of the talks I've already done, people that are in the audience that, hey, he'd be a good speaker for this or that. I am also starting to get some inquiries by referral and or by some of my posts on LinkedIn. A lot of people are reaching out, just asking, hey, would you mind, jumping on this sales call and motivating my team for, 20 minutes? Hey, would you mind jumping on this, or would you mind being a part of this podcast like I am right now? Right. So it's slowly starting to grow over the last, I'd say 2.5 years. And I see it continuing to grow. And it's something I'm actually starting to really enjoy. So
I love that. When you did TEDx Detroit back in 2020,
yeah.
I think it was 2020. Was it 19 or was it 20?
20.
You had showed some design, some graphic design that you had done. And you had a whole movement, maybe, and movement's a strong word, but you took existing logos, corporate logos, and you reimagined them. What prompted that? Was it just an exercise in art? And tell us some of the results of that, because that was a cool project.
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. So it was during the pandemic. Pandemic started, everyone's home, everyone is kind of bored, stuck in the house, not really able to go anywhere, where I wanted to use that opportunity to better my skill and to also do something fun. So I started to redesign, reimagine what the T-Mobile and Sprint merger logo could look like, what the NASA logo might look like, what IKEA's logo might look like. And it's fun because as a designer, you're usually answering to a client that has a very subjective opinion about what they want it to be. But in this case, I could be that client, and I was also the designer. So I was designing it however I wanted, unapologetically, and it didn't matter what anybody else thought because I was just doing it for fun, right? Well, out of that came a TEDx, to be quite honest. I was reached out by the team at TEDx to talk a little bit about how I've redesigned my life over the last couple of years and how I've redesigned these large brands. and then tie the two. So it was a fun exercise that ended up being a lot bigger than I initially thought it'd be. But I guess that's a testament to, if you have an idea, go with it. You never know who's watching, and you never know what could come of it. So
you never know who's watching, right? Even the people that don't like it, they still watch.
They're still watching.
They're still watching. Don't touch that dial, baby. Keep watching it. I love that point. I never understood the concept of haters or hating on other people or paying any attention to any of that nonsense. I ain't got time for that, right? I got to go over in the corner. So kind of back to that salty stuff. But I like the idea of still paying attention. All right. Well, we want to move into kind of wrapping this up a little bit. Scotty, what questions or thoughts or ideas? Thank you for sharing that, Erica. It's a great talk, well worth watching. Listen, we have Erica on as like the admin and making sure all the cool stuff happens. This is good. She's on top.
Been on it.
She got us inches to centimeters. She got us kilograms to pounds. She's got Jake's TED Talk. Great stuff, Erica. Scotty, what questions should I have asked Jake that I didn't? Anything you want to know or you think the audience might want to know that we didn't cover?
No, look, Jake's been unreal. So, at the end of the day, sugar and cream means something different to every person. The moral of the story is to stay motivated and try not to get yourself to a position of where you become the cream. In other words, you stop. You float to the top and stop. And that's the issue, right? You get RPD or CPD, which is rich person's disease or car park disease. Be the spoon, stay motivated and motivate others, rather than, getting salty, if you like, so it was really good. Hey, but listen, I did find that triathlon thing just as a little bit of, what do you want to call it? History or memorabilia here. Everything I've gone through. So this is my goals that I had, and I wrote it down, right? So I wrote down what my goals were here somewhere in 1998, and then how I lost weight, and I lost 10 kilos, and I had my goals. Then I did my little micro things, my little steps, right? How does a mouse eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And I was doing all these little steps. And this was before I got right into triathlon. So at this point here, I'd actually got down to 74 kilos by 1999. And then in 2000 and 2001, I was right into triathlons. So, stay motivated, stay sugary, right? And that's the whole point. So it's
that's awesome.
It's something I don't show many people, and I've lost that book. I found the book. I lost the book. I found the book. And now I'm looking after that book. It's a good part of history. So
love it.
but Jake,
I love it.
It's such a good story to hear, what you've gone through and the adversity and how you've turned that corner and you're doing what you like doing now, and you're a family man. You're nearly 40. So you're getting older, but not too old yet, right? You've got lots of good years in front of you, 20, 25 years of being an entrepreneur and being able to really boom. In fact, your 40s is probably the best years of your life for business, just so you know. That's where you're old enough and experienced enough and people appreciate what you've got. They really start to listen to you. So you're about to come into a really, really good chapter. So well done. But listen, mate, I don't have any more questions. Other than really just asking you, if you probably had your time again, what would you do differently?
I would have started earlier. I'd say I would start early. I'm getting ready to speak to Elma College. It's a college here in Michigan. It's about 15 minutes south of where I went to school. It's a Division III college, a little smaller school, but a very great school. Actually, their football team won the national championship several years in a row. Really good college, right in the center and heart of Michigan. I'm going to be speaking to their incoming freshman class next month. And there are going to be about 400 students I'm going to talk to. And I asked Facebook, I asked LinkedIn, like, if you were a 17, 18, 19-year-old coming into college, what would you tell yourself again? Like, what do you know now? What would you want your freshman self to know or learn? And one thing that I'm going to encourage them to do is, look, take risks, fail, have fun, network with people, don't get credit cards, have fun. And one thing that I would do if I were younger, I would start my entrepreneurial failing forward spirit a lot sooner than what I did. Because I don't know where I could be at right now. I don't know the people that I could have met or the lives I could have touched if I had started a lot sooner. So I always say start fast and start soon.
Yeah, totally. I have the same story. If I could do it all again, I would have started earlier. Exactly the same thing. I just wish I had had that confidence earlier. But the other reality is, everything happens for a reason. It happens when the time's right, and when you're doing what you're doing, it's the right time to be doing it, and just make the most out of it. You can't change what happened. We get 1,440 minutes a day. We never get them back. But once you start making the most of those 1,440 minutes, well, that's when the time is right. So
absolutely.
Listen, I think, how long we've been going for a little while now. So I think we might start to wrap it up. But that was a really good take home. I really enjoyed what you just said then. It's so important,
Thank
right?
you.
That self-confidence. But Jake, it sounds like you got a fair bit going on and a lot coming up in the future too, which is really exciting. And Terry and I have done the 5 systems. So we started off with business judo 5 weeks ago. Then we did time duplication. We did the business thirds, the rule of 100, and now we're wrapping it up with sugar and cream. And the funny thing is the book starts with attitude, with positive mental attitude in business judo, and it finishes with attitude with sugar and cream. Because sugar and cream, as much as it's a system, when you read the book, it's also an attitude. It's the way you approach things. It's definitely a system, but it's also an attitude, definitely. And you totally resonate, and I guess are the perfect example of the sugar and cream philosophy. So well done. Any final comments from you, Terry? Otherwise, we'll wrap up.
If you're not following Jacob Brown on LinkedIn, well, it's a callback to the beginning of this show. Go give him a like or a follow, or it's probably not a friend request at this point. You're a little late for that with the 30,000 limit, but go get on that. And if you're real cool, maybe you can find Jake Brown on Facebook, but I ain't trying to speak to that. So super, super good content on the daily, right? He's constantly stirring people up, trying to add that motivation, add that little bit of flavor, and most importantly, add that sweetness into all of our days. I got mad respect for that, and I appreciate it. So thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate you and Scotty for allowing me to join you guys tonight. You guys don't even know how much you filled my cup tonight. So you gave me a little bit more oomph for tomorrow. So I appreciate it.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, good morning, whatever it is. Terry, you were going to say something?
One last thing, Scotty. We have a System 1357 group on LinkedIn, right? So we should tell people that that's a thing, and they can come along and join some of the past guests on Live and Real, connect with other entrepreneurs, other coaches, other people that are busy trying to stir other folks up and make a positive impact and cast a positive ripple through this world. So System 1357, give it a look. I'm pretty sure I'm joining it tonight because it just happened today.
It's only been released. I haven't even put the logo up yet. I went, I better put a logo up. And I just quickly took a screenshot and put something up. So we'll keep building as we go, right?
That's it, man. Just start. Go out and do something. Fail forward, right, Jake Brown?
Yeah, it's why I like a whiteboard and I just mess things up. This part here is called mud mapping. Don't get too neat. Just do, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. A mud map's just as good as a perfect business plan. But the only one that matters is the one you execute. So, so be messy, be live, be real. And that's what these sessions are all about. So, Jake, mate, you've been awesome on the Live and Real series. It's been so good to have you here, mate. I wish you all the best, and hopefully one day we do get to meet in person over there. So
absolutely.
All right, everyone. Look, we'll wrap up the live. Thanks, everyone, for coming, and we'll see you all on the next one. I'll end the live.